Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Josh here. I'm just going to get straight to the point today. We are going to be talking about classes, roles, and types within Blue Archive to help you guys all understand what are the purpose of your guys' characters. There's so many classifications we need to account for, and I'm here to break them down for you guys today. Before we begin, again, I'd always appreciate it if you guys would hit the like button if you guys are enjoying the content so far, and think about slapping that subscribe button too. So you get notified when my next video goes live. With that all out of the way, let's move on into this guide on classes, roles, and types. First off, as you guys can see in this table here, there are so many different types of classifications. First, let's talk about the main classes in the game. Before they're broken into classes, there's actually an overarching class called the combat class. It actually determines whether a unit is meant for either a special role, let's say Hibiki, or a striker role that's actually actively on the field, like a unit Aru. There will always be 4 strikers max and 2 special unit slots available to you, barring your own, tactical decisions, let's just say. Now, let's move into the actual classes themselves. There are attackers, which generally are your bread and butter DPS units. Your tanks, which have the ability of being able to take hits and possibly manipulate the damage output of your enemies, whether that's through damage mitigation or redirecting damage like Tsubaki can. Then there are supporters who can buff your allies and debuff enemies, and also provide utilities like cover, which is always quite helpful. Then you have the healer class, which can heal your units in 3 different ways. First is your good old single target heal. Then there is gifting a regen buff that heals over time, or they might just have the ability to heal multiple units. These are the 4 main classes that we'll be encountering. There's also a class called the tactical support, but we won't actually be encountering this class for quite some time. Next, let's talk about weapons and roles. The certain types of weapons will usually determine the range at which the units will function around. First, we have the frontliners. These are generally the tankers and attackers. These characters will tend to wield shotguns, dual shotguns, and SMGs. These weapons can mow down your opponents with their sheer strength, whether that be through their fire rate or the damage at really close distance. Next, we have the middle range, which is where the assault rifles, grenade launchers, and handguns usually sit. These units generally have a greater variety of damage-dealing avenues and tend to stay around covers as they're not as hardy as their fellow tanker class. The last range is the long or back positioned units. These units will usually wield snipers, railguns, mini or machine guns. I won't be mentioning the possible handgun or motor appearance, as those units are special, not necessarily the strikers, and cannot technically be attacked. The backline units are those who either support their mid to frontline teammates or use the long range to their advantage to mow down or snipe units. They usually don't have the best evasion, so making sure that your front and middle line hold will be pivotal for wins in any battle mode or field. The last 2 topics we will be mentioning, firstly, is types. There are 3 different types of damage and armor based on a rock, paper, scissors type of system. There is the red or explosive damage, which is accompanied by an armor type of light armor. Next is blue or mystic damage, which is accompanied by an armor type called special armor. Then the last is yellow or piercing damage, which is accompanied by the heavy armor type. This here is a chart of the weaknesses of each armor and how to approach attacking units. As you can see, there are super effective matchups, neutral matchups, and resisted matchups. Make sure that you guys take all of this into account, especially when hitting the PvP grounds. And finally, a little lesser topic, terrain. There are 3 different types of terrain: city, outdoor, and indoor. Depending on the affinity of your character, they'll either have a boost in power, stay neutral, or actually can lose power during fights, so be careful when just sending out any unit. Oh wait, also there's one more category called schools. It's not really that important, but depending on what school each character is from, they use certain resources to level up their skills. And depending on certain game mode situations, you can actually gain affinity boost from having the units of the same school on your squad. But that about wraps up this guide on classes, types, and roles. Hopefully this was helpful in explaining the balance of each certain category. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments down below how I did, and make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to catch more content down the road. Next time, I'll be releasing a video of some of my highlights from my pulse session of day 1. And with that being said, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Josh out.